Hello, I'm Salia Strzemska and you're watching World News, coming to you live from Warsaw. And we start with the latest developments in Georgia. People have been protesting in Tbilisi for several days now. They're opposing the government's recent decision to pause Georgia's European Union accession talks. Our team was on the ground last night to report on the unrest, and our producer was injured. He took a direct hit to the eye from a water cannon. Don Arlef is joining us with more details on the events last night.
Well, it was, as mentioned, it's fourth day of these protests. Tensions really boiling over here in Tbilisi. This is something we've witnessed throughout the year. Mass protests usually taking place in front of the parliament building. But this latest round of protests has taken a different dimension in that you've got a lot of young people who are expressing their frustration with what they call were rigged elections that put Georgian dream back into the position of power in the parliament. So with them going to the ballot box, that didn't seem to work. And now these protests, and of course with the accession, the European Union accession talks to be delayed until 2028, nobody's really happy with that here, especially since it's enshrined in the Constitution. So you have tensions boiling over. These protests are taking somewhat of there's a small group of people that are taking more of a violent stance, launching fireworks and what have you at the police officers. But the police responding pretty heavily indeed. We've seen lots of pictures of people being innocently targeted. Our camera guy, Michał Kulitsky, you can see the footage right now. He was just trying to film the crowd and, turned around and got directly targeted by the water cannon there. And of course, it was very high pressure, hit him right in the eye. And thankfully there was ambulances on standby there for the protesters, and they told us to go to the hospital. Michał's feeling better today. Obviously, took this, hit to the eye, and it's still an issue. But I talked to Michał, so listen to his take.
As you know, we are trying to do our job. We want to be as close as possible to be between the protesters and between police. The whole situation was there near the parliament. And what can I say? The protesters are mainly young people who are expressing, their ultimate desperation. As you've seen, and like everybody can see on the video, we are really near the police and the protesters. I think the situation is really tense. I think the few next days we will see the more aggression, I think, from the both sides. What can I say more? The young generation of Georgians are fighting for its own future, so they have a right to do it.
Yeah, well, doctor said you got to take it easy. Do you want to be out at the protest tonight?
Like I said before, no, it's our job. It's our job. We are here, and we must talk what's going on here right now in Tbilisi, in the whole Georgia also.
Michał Kulitsky, everybody. He's a trooper, and he's hanging in there. So good news from our side.
These were some of the latest images we've got coming from Georgia, and of course we'll keep you updated on the situation there. The early results of the Sunday general elections in Romania indicate that the current governing pro-European coalition will remain in power and form a new government. However, it will be facing strong opposition as three far-right parties will also have representation in the new parliament. Let's bring in Paweł Trzaskowski, who is in Bucharest and has the latest. Hi, Paweł, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So what do these results mean for Romania?
Well, no political earthquake, but a strong shift to the right. I think these are the words that best summarize the results of Sunday's general elections. Right now, 99.97% of the votes have officially been counted, and the Social Democratic Party emerges victorious from yesterday's vote. The Social Democratic Party is the biggest political party in the country and also the member of the current ruling coalition. They got 22% of support, and they could form the future ruling coalition with the National Liberals, who got 14%. National Liberals, who also are a member of the current ruling coalition. But there is a strong right-wing opposition growing in the Romanian parliament. Now, the second strongest force in the new parliament would be the Our party, which got 18% of support. This is double the score they got in the previous parliament elections. But this will not be the only hard right party to enter the new parliament, because both SOS Romania and the Party of the Youth managed to clear the 5% threshold that's required for a political party to enter the Romanian parliament. So altogether, the hard right parties will have 32% of support.
Now, the first round of the presidential elections took place in Romania just a week earlier. However, the results are now being contested, so the decision of the Constitutional Court on whether to uphold or annul the vote will be announced this afternoon, so we have to wait a little bit longer. But do tell us, what is the mood on the streets? What are people expecting?
Well, we are still waiting, as you said, for the verdict of the Constitutional Court. But from what I gathered from people and experts, there should be no reason to annul the vote. However, it should be announced later today, approximately 5 p.m. local time. We will, of course, keep you posted with the latest developments.
Paweł Trzaskowski reporting from Bucharest. Thank you. Much appreciated. According to Romanian Prime Minister, the voters had a choice between stability and chaos in Sunday's parliamentary elections. Here's what Albu Comanescu, a fellow at Visegrad Inside, said about this statement in an interview with TVP World.
I would love to see politicians keeping up to the same opinion, or at least initial opinion, because of course much stability is needed, in politics, economy, and in foreign policy. But all three parties this morning announced a very different approach of coalition building. They put conditions which are a bit hard to digest, and two of the parties, the Social Democrats of former Prime Minister, Prime Minister Ciolacu, and the Liberal Party, even opted for a scenario where they can be staying in the opposition, meaning they will not contribute to a political combination that would be dominated in terms of, initiatives and political options by the so-called progressives, which are the centrists, progressive, the USR. So it's going to be a party, to put it like that, but a party that keeps the electorate in an impossible tension and may also justify that kind of rancor that the society has against those who are simply mistreating the trust that was put in them every time during the electoral cycle.
Moving on to the latest from Ukraine, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz arrived in Kyiv Monday morning for a surprise visit, his second since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The visit comes amid Russian attacks on Ukraine, as well as uncertainty surrounding the US policy towards Ukraine and Russia during the second presidency of Donald Trump. While in Kyiv, Scholz will hold talks with President Zelensky. During their meeting, the German Chancellor is expected to announce the delivery of further military aid to the embattled country worth €650 million later this month. He is also expected to promise that his country will remain Ukraine's strongest supporter in Europe. Russia launched yet another drone attack on Ukraine on Sunday night, targeting the city of Ternopil in the country's west. One person was killed. A residential building, a school and multiple cars were heavily damaged in the strike. Video footage found on social media shows a large fire engulfing a building. 3 people sustained injuries and about 100 residents had to be evacuated. Russian forces also struck Nikopol in southern Ukraine that same night, destroying residential buildings, cars, a power line and a gas pipeline. No casualties were reported there. European Council President Antonio Costa, EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas and Enlargement Commissioner Marta arrived in Kyiv on Sunday for an unannounced visit. During the visit, Kaja Kallas underscored the need for Europe to invest in its own security. She went on to say that supporting Ukraine is not charity and that Europe must substantially increase defense spending. Here's more.
This is the moment where we have to look everything through security, through defense. It also means aiding Ukraine, and it's not charity aiding Ukraine, but it's really investment into our own security as well. So this is very important when we talk about food security, when we talk about cybersecurity, when we talk about migration. Also, these are all the things that we also look through the security lens. But most important is, of course, spending also defense industry is important because there is a war going on the European soil in Ukraine, and Putin doesn't show any signs that he has given up his goals.
And with this, we conclude our news roundup. Thank you for being with us this morning, and please stay tuned for more here on TVP World.